A tenant in Georgia turned into a squatter after refusing to pay the rent for the last 6 months, and the eviction court judge refuses to sign the eviction order to get that tenant out of there. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News.
It's a nightmare on Charlotte Drive.
She's been living in our property now going on 8 months, rent-free.
And for the Phillips, what has their heads spinning is they can get a Clayton County Magistrate Court to sign a writ of possession to get the eviction process started.
We've been trying to get a writ signed since May of 2025.
We've called Clayton County Courthouse multiple times. We've gone out to the clerk's office. They give us a phone number that nobody...
Right, so I have quite the interesting story for you today, and it's coming out of the state of Georgia. So Georgia is not known as being a place that's not friendly to landlords, okay? It's one of those places where a lot of people invest because they are very landlord friendly. But in this situation here, we have the court itself not signing the eviction order to get the tenant out of the property, and the landlords are struggling. They're struggling because they have to pay 2 mortgages, one for the house they actually live in and one so this tenant can live for free. And that's absolutely ridiculous. This is the sort of situation that small mom and pop landlords, they fear. This is why people don't want to invest in real estate. They don't want to be landlords because the law is on the tenant's side. Now, in this situation, even in a landlord-friendly state, these landlords are still getting screwed over. I bring these stories up because don't think for 1 second, just because you're living in a place that's traditionally friendly to landlords, that you won't experience any sort of problems. We all experience issues over time, okay? I've been doing this for quite a while now, over a decade. And you know what? I've had multitude of issues, but overall, I'm still doing well, and I'm grateful that I got into it. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So, just out of curiosity, for the small mom and pops in particular, have you ever experienced issues where the tenant didn't pay you rent? Now, for all landlords, I'm pretty sure this has happened. I know there's a few out there who say, hey, I've been blessed. I've been very fortunate to have a tenant who has always paid me on time and never missed a payment. But those are very, very few and far between. And if you have more than one unit, then it's likely that just isn't the case. Okay, so I'm just curious if you are one of those people who has experienced this, unicorn tenant, please put a comment down below and share your story with us, okay? But anyway, let me tell you about this tenant in Georgia and the struggles this landlord is going through. This article is coming from Fox5Atlanta.com, and it says, Clayton County family says they've been waiting months to evict a tenant. Let's get into it. A Clayton County family says their rental property has turned from an investment into a financial nightmare after waiting more than 3 months for a magistrate judge to sign off on an eviction. What they're saying: Patrick and Candace Phillips lived in their Forest Park Ranch house for 10 years before moving to Atlanta. Instead of selling the home, they decided to rent it out as a way to build income and eventually leave the property to their son. We could leave it to our son, said Candace Phillips. It would ease his burden and help us. But now, the couple says the property is draining their finances. Their current tenant hasn't paid rent since March of 2025. The Phillips took the case to court, but they cannot move forward with the eviction until a Clayton County magistrate judge signs the writ of possession. So this is a very similar situation to how a lot of people get into becoming a landlord, okay? They buy a house for themselves. They live there for a period of time. When their needs change or when they decide they want a change, rather than selling that property, they turn it into a rental and they become a landlord just like that. Now, I did this personally, okay? I personally did this. I own 2 houses here in Omaha that we actually lived in, my wife and I, before moving to a different home and then turning those properties into rental properties. So 2 of my rentals that I own here in Omaha, I actually used to live in. The other 2, they're homes I bought specifically as rentals. But, this is a good way to get started, especially considering when you buy a property as a beginner, you can use the owner-occupant loan terms, right, which are much more favorable than the investor loan terms. So, it's a great way to get started, but a lot of people, they don't realize that, hey, I have to treat this like a business. This isn't a hobby. I have to really do good tenant screening. I have to have a large emergency reserve, and anything that goes wrong could end up bankrupting me and making it so that I can't pay my bills at my house. Okay, so that's what's happening to this landlord here. And I mean, I hate hearing it because this is the sort of thing, like I said before, it will dissuade people from wanting to become landlords. And I think that it is a good thing to do. But in this situation, it's not working out the way that I would hope it would, okay? But let me continue. The couple says they've been waiting since May for that to happen. We've called Clayton County, gone to the clerk's office. They give us a number no one ever answers, Patrick Phillips told Fox 5. Without the signed order, law enforcement cannot serve the tenant with eviction papers. In the meantime, the Phillips, both longtime educators, are stuck paying 2 mortgages while covering other expenses on credit cards. Basically, my whole paycheck. Everything else on credit cards, Candace Phillips said. Fox 5 Atlanta reached out to Clayton County Magistrate Court, but was told the chief judge would not be available until after the Labor Day holiday. And you know the situation is bad when the media has to go after the judge and try to get the judge to do their job, okay? So I don't know what the story is or why this judge or this court isn't getting this process, but they've been waiting since May. So the tenant stopped paying rent in March. They went down to the court to get their proper paperwork in May, and it's now September, and nothing has happened except for they've accumulated just thousands of dollars in debt on their credit cards trying to pay their bills. The tenant has gotten to live for free for months on end. And this is the sort of situation where, they call the person a squatter. I agree with that, okay? The person's a squatter. You're not paying the rent. You're not, the only thing they really have going for them is that they had a lease when they moved in. But to me, they don't have any more right to stay there than somebody who broke into the property, because you're stealing from the landlord. When you don't pay your rent to the landlord, yet you stay in the property, that is stealing, period. And I don't understand why a lot of people don't see it this way. They're like, oh, well, no, it's a civil matter. No, that's a theft of services. It's just like stealing power from the power company. You're taking something from somebody else that doesn't belong to you. And that's a house in our business. Okay, so yeah, you should be charged with theft. You should be charged with trespassing. If there's any damage to the property, you should be charged with, criminal mischief or property damage or whatever they call it, where you're at, right? And, they should throw you in jail. It's that simple. Either that or get the heck out. Get the heck out and pay me the money that you owe me. Period. So, yeah, when law enforcement starts acting and treating landlords like, hey, we're more than just, oh, well, this is a civil issue, no, they don't treat any other crime where there's a theft like this as a civil issue. Imagine they went up to a shoplifter. So a shoplifter has just stolen a bunch of clothing. Oh, no, this is a civil issue. You need to sue the shoplifter over there to get your money back. What? But the person has my property right in their hand. Nope, you need to go to civil court and sue them so that you can get reimbursed for the property that they're taking. Imagine if they did that. Or a car thief, like, oh, I'm taking this car. Oh, no, you need to sue them if you want the car back. You go down to civil court and file a lawsuit. Police, we can't do anything. Our hands are tied. Like, yeah, it makes no sense when I describe it that way. And in my opinion, that's the same way that housing should be treated. But what do you think? Okay, do you think that when you're not paying rent, it should be a civil issue? And what's the deal with this judge going on in Georgia? Or other people, are they making the same complaints? Is this an issue with the landlord, maybe inexperienced landlord not filing the paperwork correctly? What's going on? Anyway, put a comment in the comment section down below and let me know what you think.